Time for another climatic finale. It is the end of season 3, so take a journey with me as I watch through Star Wars Rebels for the first time. Well, hello there. My name is Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney. First off, I need to give a shout out to my newest patron, Dr. Stephen Harlan. Just thank you so much for becoming a patron and supporting the channel. Now, a couple quick Star Wars notes. Sunday will be a live stream with my third ranking of the characters from Rebels, this time including all the characters through the end of season 3. Gonna be fun. And then we've got the Bad Batch premiere on May the 4th, so join me as I watch that live. And with all of that said and out of the way, it is time for the regular video to accompany my live stream from the other week. So let's go finish off season 3, regular style. Here we go. First up is episode 20 of season 3, and this is Twin Suns. And right off the bat, how this episode opens up, wow. We're in the desert on Tatooine and we hear Maul talking. And every bit of how amazing Sam Witwer can be in his performance as Darth Maul, or later, shall we say, just Maul, it's fully on display here. Quite possibly the best performance entirely for Maul here of any time we've seen him. He just goes through such a range of emotions in this intro, and I was completely enthralled by it. Now on to the plot of the episode. So Maul needs to draw out ObiWan, his old nemesis. So he's gonna go use something or someone to draw him out. Who could he possibly use? Oh yes, bit of a connection to Ezra right there. So via the holocrons and the connection between the two, he tricks Ezra into thinking that, well, Ezra needs to go out there and find ObiWan first and maybe save him and get help and yada yada. After all, can't let Maul get to ObiWan. Ezra is who Ezra is and needing to go ahead and try to protect people, and definitely one of his good things, and one of his faults sometimes too. The others at the base, they most certainly disagree with Ezra, and I love how Hera tries to get him to zero in on the attack on Lothal and how important he is to the mission. And she is right, especially given the circumstances and what they do know for sure and what they don't. But it just isn't enough to make it work. The next day, Ezra steals an A-Wing and off to Tatooine he goes. But he's got a stowaway because Chopper pulls it off and gets into that fighter before Ezra was there. Pretty cool. We get to see some cool navigation using the holocron as Ezra is levitating up to point the direction where they need to go. And so they land and Ezra, well, eventually finds the thing that he was getting pointed to, which was the Sith holocron. And he fell right into Maul's trap. Oh, yep, you're gullible. The Sand People attack and destroy the fighter, and then, well, this one surprised me actually, as I was thinking this was probably how Maul intended to draw out ObiWan, similar to how ObiWan comes out and saves Luke from the Sand People. But nope, that's not it, because Maul went ahead and just killed all of those Sand People while Ezra's kind of out over there from the explosion. But now it's time to see what the real plan was. So Ezra is still trying to find ObiWan. Go ahead and get to him first. And he rightly sees that they shouldn't walk into the open sand of the desert, especially because how bad that would be for Chopper. And then Maul baits him into doing exactly that and going in there. Dying man. And I love the next parallel. There's a parallel here that echoes A New Hope where R2 and 3PO split up. 3PO walks out into the desert, R2 walks along the rock ridge. And Chopper certainly thinks about going ahead and doing just that and going along the rock ridge. But he doesn't, he actually goes with Ezra. Just one of those things that makes you like Chopper a little bit more, even though it might not have been the more intelligent choice for him. And, well, disaster certainly does crop up, because a sandstorm whips on in. We hear Maul saying, "Draw him out, your pain, your sorrow. It calls to him." Clearly using Ezra and everything going on with him right there to draw ObiWan out. Because, yeah, Ezra, you've certainly proved to be the perfect tool for Maul in this case. And Chopper, as predicted, going out here in the sand is not good in the middle of a sandstorm. Yeah, it's gonna gum up the works a little bit right there. So he's done for. And Maul keeps taunting him, especially with that. And what do you know? Guess who shows up? It's Obi-Wan. Oh man, been waiting for Obi-Wan to show up so much. Definitely been looking forward to it. And there's so much good stuff here. There's a big talk between Obi-Wan and Ezra. And, well, they really talk. And this is wise Obi-Wan at this point. It's been a long time since the last time Obi-Wan was seen here. Well, soon there will be a new Obi-Wan show, and, well, we'll have something in between this point and the last time before that we see him. But right now we're like, what, a year before A New Hope? So it's pretty close to that wise Obi-Wan we know. But yeah, no, there's lots of good talk, and there's a lot of good character growth moment here for Ezra as Obi-Wan really helps him understand a good bit of this. And Ezra's even all, hey, we can fight Maul together. And poor Obi-Wan, I had no intention of fighting him, though that seems inevitable now. Yeah, definitely the Obi-Wan you've got nowadays. Not the fighter who goes off and leads the different clones in the Clone Wars. Yeah, different time, in a more civilized age. But even the comments about the truth, because holocrons, I mean, they tell the truth, right? Do they? Obi-Wan nicely clearly makes a point about, the truth is often what you make of it. And you heard what you wanted to hear, and what Maul manipulated you into hearing, and yeah. And yeah, this is certainly Obi-Wan's nuanced view of truth too, which certainly was not there if you go back into the prequels and the Clone Wars. Definitely not, but nowadays, yeah. So who's gained from all of this? Oh, it's Maul. The only one who has, right? And he shows up right on cue. And then Obi-Wan sends Ezra off north on a dewback as he reluctantly leaves while Obi-Wan assures him, hey, it's not your fight. And Maul has no problem with that. Even with one last, I'll see you again soon, my apprentice. Yeah, one more of those in there. And now we get to what is the best piece in this entire episode. And there's been a lot of good pieces already. But this is our conversation and fight between Maul and Obi-Wan. And let's just go through it, because we've got Maul going, look what has become of you, a rot in the desert. Look what I have risen above. Just right off the bat, and I mean, it's just in the dialogue. The dialogue had to have gone through numerous drafts here, because there's so much depth sitting within this and what's going on. Because this foreshadows everything else, and also clearly is the talk, because Maul, he hasn't risen above. He's fallen back. He's just a hollow shell of himself. Even at this point, coming in at the beginning of the episode, there's no way you think Maul can beat Obi-Wan or really stand even a decent chance. He's just not who he is anymore. He's not there. But Maul doesn't see what Obi-Wan's up to at first, thinking, oh, well, dang, maybe I should just leave you here, because this is a horrible thing. You know, we're on this desert planet. Look at this. Life is clearly rough to you. Look how old you look. Dang. Well, Obi-Wan, on the other hand, witty with words as always, but yet clearly, if you define yourself by the power to take life, a desire to dominate, to possess, then you have nothing. Then what do you have? Yeah. Quickly gets under Maul's skin right there too, but he's right at the same time. I mean, if Maul ever were willing to look at a little more of that, it might have helped him. And Maul, as he's thinking it through, figures out that Obi-Wan's not there simply to hide, that he's protecting someone on the planet. And when he gets to that note, that's when Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber. And then we get one of the best lightsaber duels in the entirety of Star Wars. It drips with significance and meaning in every single look, every single move, and every strike. Obi-Wan goes through 3 stances. His more aggressive prequel stance. Then he moves back into his calmer original trilogy stance. And finally, he moves into Qui-Gon's stance, which he uses as bait to trick Maul. Maul, who's lived in the past and is still stuck in his own past. And hey, if he can find a trick to go ahead and win this, well, there you go. It works. Because Obi-Wan, again, has grown from the past, and Maul, stuck in it, falls right for that trap and figures he can use the exact same trick that beat Qui-Gon on Obi-Wan. So he'll go ahead and go for that whole little hit up in the chin and then stab it right into the chest, right? Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. The fight, it's over in 3 strikes. Strike 1, strike 2, Maul falls for the bait. Obi-Wan chops the lightsaber in half and right down into Maul himself. Probably one of the shortest lightsaber duels in Star Wars too, for that matter. But again, it didn't need to be longer. It was every bit of what it needed to be. Then we have Obi-Wan cradling Maul's body as he dies, just as he did for both Qui-Gon Jinn and Satine, who, well, both were killed by Maul. And we get one last moment there as he's dying. Tell me, is he the chosen one? He is. He will avenge us. It's all that ever mattered to Maul, the vengeance. And in that last moment, the very enemy that he has so focused on throughout his life, he's focused on Obi-Wan so much. Well, in that last moment, well, it's enemy of my enemy. To go ahead and actually avenge them, take out Palpatine, who in many ways he did see as being his even bigger enemy. He just largely couldn't take him on because Palpatine was far, far too powerful for Maul. And that's it. Maul is dead. And I'll admit, that got me a little. I mean, wow, such a good scene and so well done. Again, the number of revisions they probably went through to get it that tight, that impactful, every bit of it dripping with the meaning that it had. Whew. Anyway, that's not quite the end of the episode. As much as I know we needed to see Ezra go home, I kind of still wish we ended on this note, but it wouldn't have finished everything. There were still different threads that needed tied off, and yeah, understandably so. And it's a good final note for Ezra. He comes back, the music is still playing and going strong, and we see the character growth as he recognizes his family and where he needs to be. And then we get one last note for the episode as a whole, which is Obi-Wan observing Luke. A beautiful ending. And I'm so glad that they kept the binary sunset music going through the credits. Just as far as the episode, wow, this episode fired on all cylinders, especially since Obi-Wan appeared. But even before that, it did really well. And especially, hey, again, that opening with Maul. Yeah, no, it was a good episode all around. Now, I'd been skeptical when I first saw the episode title. I was going, Obi-Wan really is going to just be purely one episode? Because after all, the 2-episode finale is coming up, so I know it's got to be over by the end of this. I'm like, really? That's it? Just one? Well, I was clearly proven wrong on that for any worries I had. Completely blown away. When it's written and executed this well, one episode certainly can be enough, no doubt. And heck, that final note with Obi-Wan and Luke there, it beautifully echoes both the end of episode 3 as well as episode 4 with Luke in there too. It's a nice way of bridging it at the same time. Super clever. And this also makes for the first episode in the course of Rebels that since I do rate them in the background back here, that I rate a full pure 10 out of 10. The first one was that dang good. Oh, I mean, when the writing's at that caliber right there. Anyway. Oh, so that was the first episode we're talking about today. Now we've actually got to go ahead and move on to more things. And I mean, even while I was doing this on the live stream, it's like, oh man, I have to go ahead and watch the next episode. I can't just sit with this for a bit. Oh, it's the kind of episode. That's exactly what it's like, where you just want to sit with it for a good half hour, whatever afterward without going and watching something else. Well, anyway, on to episode 21 of season 3. This is 0 Hour, part 1. Thrawn comes in, arrives with a grand welcome over on Lothal. We see Kallus watching. Thrawn's off to his office with Bryce and Constantine, and they're talking with Tarkin over the HoloNet, which actually is cool seeing Tarkin pop in for a little bit. Really, all of this is just to show, hey, guess what? You know, Thrawn's aware of a little bit of stuff, and Kallus is listening. Remember, Thrawn found out he was the double agent back in the other episode a few episodes ago. Well, so he's baiting him here. And I mean, the one problem I have with this is they essentially fed Kallus legit information. Now, if you know he's a spy, you should be tricking him with misinformation here, because that is one of the powerful things you can do, and why they would even risk him getting legit info. Yeah. I mean, you could have gotten the same results by giving him misinformation that he would still feel important to go ahead and transmit to the Rebels. And I think this is probably just a weakness of the show of Rebels. I don't think this is meant to be a weakness of Thrawn, but if so, it's a huge weakness in terms of not understanding counterintelligence. And I mean, it's possible, but my guess is it's more a Rebels thing. Anyway, one other thing that does come out of there is Tarkin giving clear orders for Thrawn to capture the rebel leadership. That one's important right there. Making life a little harder, not just wiping them out, because, I mean, if you could just kill them, that would be a hell of a lot easier right there. And hey, we need a way for our heroes to get out of the mess that's coming, right? Well, off to the rebels for a quick little bit, because we have a nice conversation between Kanan and Ezra, kind of the father-son bonding, even though they're not actually father-son, of course, but that kind of bonding there. And then we get to see General Dodonna make his first real appearance in the show. We kind of had him in the background at one point, but yeah, here he is with his whole fleet. Oh, that's cool. And then, well, we're back off over to Lothal again because Kallus is over where it looks like Ezra's old house was from the beginning where he was hiding out. And that's where Kallus has been sending his communications to the rebels from, at least while he's there. I mean, when he's on a Star Destroyer, I mean, he does it from wherever the heck else, I suppose. And Thrawn shows up seemingly by himself at first, although he's got a couple people with him later. He taunts Kallus, even showing him a jamming device in his hand, and it gets broken, letting Kallus's transmission go, which you kind of go, whoops, and oy vey at the same time, really? But hey, at least it leads to Thrawn finding out where the rebel base is. Not sure if they really required the transmission go out or not, or if Thrawn could have tracked where it was being sent without that. I guess it depends on the encryption on that terminal Kallus was using, but regardless, we use it as the final piece of finding out where that base was. Frankly, if it weren't for that, I'm not sure exactly what the plan was, so, you know, who knows? We assume that's the plan. It all works out anyway. Well, anyway, Kallus's warning reaches the rebels barely before the Imperials drop out of hyperspace, along with 5 Star Destroyers, a couple interdictor cruisers. So yeah, no hyperspace escapes for the rebels right there. Well, at least not yet. And it is big space battle time. Now, the rebels realize their peril pretty dang quick and figure they're going to need reinforcements, try to catch the Imperials in a pincer to take out those interdictors. So they're trying to get just one ship out past that whole thing. And well, it's given to Ezra. Kanan's got a different mission because he's going to be going off into the desert to talk to our old friend. But anyway, Ezra, oh man, just trying to get him out. He's got one of those Mandalorian gauntlets that he went and got from last episode, but the number of sacrifices there, what was it, 3 or 4 capital ships, and countless fighters, and then one more capital ship because to finish the whole dang thing off, Commander Sato sacrifices himself and the carrier to destroy one of the interdictor cruisers. Which, by the way, should be noted he was only actually even able to do that and get to the cruiser because Constantine, our good old competent Admiral Constantine, disobeyed a direct order from Thrawn and was a complete incompetent idiot about it, and I guess he wanted glory and felt he was getting sidelined behind being over on the interdictor cruiser, which the interdictor cruisers were unsurprisingly protected behind the Star Destroyers. So he took it up there into a spot that it actually could be rammed into. Yeah. Now, I was upset about this in the moment, and really because I felt it reflected poorly on Thrawn's leadership to allow this situation to really become possible and happen. Now, as I heard from some fans afterwards and some people in the comments, apparently in the books, it gets far better explanation due to the xenophobia of the Empire and active sabotage from other Imperials. So I guess that's okay for now, but I don't think Rebels as a show showed that well enough, which is a little too bad. So it makes the moment not come off as well for Thrawn, I think. But anyway, that's okay, we move on. At least hopefully Constantine is dead and we'll never see him again. Hopefully he blew up with that ship. Anyway. Meanwhile, we have Kanan going out into the desert, as I was saying, and if you remember who it is that's out there, this is Bendu, the great Bendu, who is not very happy about this. And when I say not very happy, I mean really super unhappy. Remember, this is Bendu, the great neutral one. I'm not on your light side or your dark side or any of the rest of that, and I don't want any dang part in all of it. He essentially throws, shall we say, a big temper tantrum and then disappears. So kind of in there going, is he gonna help us? Hopefully. Because he's certainly powerful enough to do one heck of a lot of work if he would help. And then we move to the end of the episode. We have one last note, and this is Ezra off in the fighter because he's gotten out and he's contacting Mon Mothma, who turns down their request, as it would probably simply play into Thrawn's hands if they were to go send reinforcements. And she's probably right. It's interesting how it was also noted that Senator Bail Organa thought it was too early to openly fight the Empire, and Mon Mothma going, dang, I guess he was right. Interesting little bit of politics in the background there. And then we get one last note to go ahead and finish it off, which is Ezra deciding he's gonna go try to get Sabine's help. I mean, when you got nothing else. So clearly not the end. Very much it's not, oh, here's giant cliffhanger, now wait till next season. No. It's not as much just a pause as sometimes. Well, it's clearly we're just moving right on, and just one tiny little hook to move you into the next spot. But hey, there was certainly good stuff in this episode, especially, may I say, all the impressive space battles. That had to have taken a lot of animation work right there. And it was well done too. Oof, nice work. Now on to the finale itself, episode 22 of season 3, 0 Hour, part 2. Okay, we're back to the battle. Time for that shield they got from Geonosis to finally actually get some real use. Cause yeah, put it on, and Imperial bombardment coming in. And this is a truly both menacing and beautiful scene, really. And at the end of it, after we get all that music going through and the animation work and the colors and and all the emotions on the faces of our rebels down below under the bombardment and the faces of our Imperials up in orbit. Whew. Well, anyway, at the end of that, it is pretty clear that if Thrawn hadn't stopped firing, that shield would have failed in not too much longer. But again, remember, he's got to go take them alive, so we're not trying to just kill you all. Now, there's a little tiny line during the course of it that I love between Hera and Kanan at the end, which is Kanan going, I get the feeling Thrawn is really trying to kill us this time. Hera, that is only funny because you're still alive. Come home, love. Because Kanan was still out on his way back, but just a nice piece between the two. Some nice writing, some nice dialogue. Okay, off to Ezra. So let's go deal with getting that help we clearly need to take out the one remaining interdictor cruiser. So Ezra heads in to talk to Clan Ren, and we find out a little bit about what's going on in the meantime. Not a lot, just that they're in the middle of a civil war for the Mandalorians at the moment, and it's horribly bad timing. I mean, we don't really have the resources to go send a whole fleet your way or anything like that. But luckily Sabine is there for Ezra, and well, at the very least we'll go personally, which gets her mother to go, here, you can have a few extra fighters. Now, onward we go and back over to the rebel base. It is time for a ground assault, so bunches of chicken walkers start up first, and Rex and Zeb take them out easily enough, which is kind of what Thrawn hoped for anyway, as it gave away their position and defenses. So then it was time to bring in the big ol' walkers, 4 of them. We did get to see one of them get taken down at this point, because Kanan did chop out one of them with his lightsaber as he was on his way back. Now these aren't quite the full big walkers we're used to. There's still the slight version right before them. But yeah, so not OT yet. Well, anywho, lots of good running and fighting in here, and well, we get to also go ahead and watch one of the walkers take out one of the rebel transports as it's taking off. Just the pure desperation of the rebels in this spot, as we get all the way to, well, some of our leaders being the last ones there and captured by Thrawn as that shield goes out for good. But things then start to turn, because we got storm clouds approaching fast. Big storm clouds, and Kanan's a little worried about those clouds, a little apprehensive. And well, yeah, because it's Bendu, who starts taking out all kinds of things with giant lightning strikes. And that gives a chance for the rebels to escape, as Thrawn and company are completely distracted by Bendu. Now, in fairness to them, there is still an interdictor cruiser in orbit at the time, plus star destroyers, so I suppose you'd also think they don't have much of anywhere to go. And by the way, Bendu, still not happy with the rebels either. I wouldn't be surprised that a few rebels got taken out as well, because he was pissed at everyone. I mean, it certainly saves the rebels, but dang, hello. Okay, then it's time for that rescue mission. We've got like 6 Mandalorian gauntlet fighters in there. Not a lot, but it's enough to land some people over on top of the actual hull of the interdictor and get them to take out the gravity wells on the ship, leading to the whole ship blowing up. Feels a little easier than you'd think, but again, they're coming from behind. That helps a lot right there. And I mean, Mandalorians are superheroes, so you know. Oh, nice touch is Ezra's in one of those old fishbowl helmets that we saw way back in Clone Wars with like Anakin and Obi-Wan. Way back. Oh, and then over on the Imperial side, Kallus, who had been brought along on this whole thing, I guess for Thrawn to brag, I guess. Make a point. Well, anyway, he ends up escaping when Price sends him to be taken to the brig because he beats up the 2 stormtroopers with him in the lift. Because of course he does. I'll be honest, it felt to me like the whole reason Agent Kallus was brought on this mission was simply so we had an excuse for him to go ahead and get away. Because it would have been a lot harder if he was over on Lothal at that time. That's just how it felt to me even from the beginning, was that it was just a setup for that. I don't know. It was just my take. Well, anyway, he gets out, gets onto an escape pod, the ghost picks him up, so hey, no more secret Agent Kallus. I guess when we get to season 4, he's gonna be one of our people here for real at this point, and that's gonna be intriguing on how he interacts with people, especially given the cold relationship that is between Ezra and him and Kanan and him. Yeah, that could play off into some interesting drama if we really go into it. Well, anyway, the rebels make it out, or at least some of them do, I should say. It's not a complete loss, but so many died. They lost so many capital ships, small ships in the course of this. So it is without any doubt a major defeat for the rebels, if not a complete loss, and certainly a victory for Thrawn. And we do get one last piece for Thrawn down there because he's on the planet with Bendu. A bit of taunting from Bendu, which actually gets under Thrawn's skin a little. Not often you see things get under his skin. And then our last note is we're off to the rebels and we're in there on the Ghost. We talk about how we're gonna go ahead and help out Sabine soon and try to go ahead and help out on that side. So clearly we're gonna see some of that Mandalorian Civil War. And the last little piece, where are they headed after this? What base? Well, remember we're what, a year out from the events of A New Hope? It's off to Yavin. Oh, it's gonna be fun to see. Season 4. Oh, so there we go. That was it. I love that Thrawn won and the rebels had a qualified defeat in there. A good ending when it comes to it. And it was tricky too, to be honest. You've got to go ahead and work this out in a way that the rebels take a major defeat, but also don't lose their main people. Not the easiest thing to pull off in a satisfying way, and I'm pretty happy with the finale ultimately. Whew, so there you go. So much in these 3 episodes. Definitely some of the highlights of the show so far. And that scene from the first episode with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul is probably my favorite scene in the show right now. Made it so I wished I could put some space between finishing that one and the 2-part finale, as I mentioned before, and oh, I still wish. It was that good and still is. But the finale certainly didn't disappoint. I had worries about what might happen with the potential of the rebels easily succeeding at destroying the factory over at Lothal, which we'd been setting up for a while. But it was actually a bit of a feint, because that certainly isn't what happened. Instead of having the attack over at Lothal at all, of course, the attack was at the rebel base itself, Chopper base, shall we say, which was nice. I did not actually see that one coming. I missed that. So they cleverly played their sleight of hand right there. Heck, they were lucky to even survive. I mean, definitely, I loved that. Now, with how jam-packed and amazing everyone keeps saying season 4 is, I am super curious to be getting to that. And I will be a week from Sunday. But this Sunday, it's character ranking time once more. And hey, with that said, what about you? What did you think of this finale and the episode before that? Does any of it make your list for the best of Rebels? Let me know down below in the comments. And let me once more take a moment to thank all of my wonderful patrons. If you're interested in helping support the channel through Patreon, there is a link down below in the description. And to everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, a share, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.